So recently, a rather bizarre document has surfaced online from the Thirlwall inquiry, which is currently looking into the circumstances surrounding the crimes of the serial killer nurse Lucy Letby. Now, this official document actually states that Lucy Letby has a child and is in fact a single parent. Take a listen to the following. Okay, so let's take a look at this particular meeting. Now, this meeting took place on the 5th of the 5th, 2017, so over a year before Lucy Letby was first interviewed by the police. This is basically the corporate team. You've got Cheshire Constabulary alongside Tony Chambers, who was the then chief executive, Stephen Cross, who was the director of corporate and legal services, also just happens to be a Freemason, but we won't talk about that, and Ian Harvey, who was the then medical director. And it states the following here. Operation Hummingbird, summary actions held at 15:30 on Friday the 5th of May 2017. Within the neonatal unit, you would expect to see on shift at any one time 3 trained nursing staff assisted by 1 nursery nurse. They would look after approximately 5 to 10 babies. During the index period, the neonatal unit had been busier. Staff had increased workloads, and staff could have been looking after anything up to 20 babies within the same staffing complement. The consultant paediatricians collectively felt that of the 13 deaths, 5 could be explained, but 8 could not, as the doctors felt that both the collapses and/or deaths could not be explained. Reviews. The families are all aware that 2 reviews have been conducted. Number 1, Dr. Jane Horden, Consultant Neonatologist, Royal Free London Hospital, October 2016. Number 2, the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, RCPCH, November 2016, following visit September 2016. An earlier trust review led to a number of actions, including redesignated neonatal unit, the transferring babies below certain age weight to be out-treated. It was also noted the unit was running hot and there was an increase in the number of lower birth weight babies based on previous trends. The college review identified there were issues with communications between medical and nursing staff, instant review processes and delays in clinical escalation. Whilst the staffing was in line with surrounding units, it did not comply with the national standards. On the back of the college review conducted came a recommendation for an independent external case review. Since the redesignation of the unit, there has been only 1 baby death, which was explicable. The independent review, Dr. Jane Horden, took a clinical perspective, looking from birth to death. As such, the families each received an in-depth, independent case note review that was pertinent to their baby. A criminal QC was instructed by the Trust, who after consideration of the relevant papers, advised there was no evidence to suggest criminal activity. At a later meeting with the QC, consultants expressed their views that they were not satisfied. The clinicians felt that there was no further work or investigation, short of a police investigation, that could be conducted to satisfy them that some of the deaths were not due to natural causes. The M stated that there are 2 critical issues drawn from the overview and reviews. Potential of malpractice, practice issue involving COCH. There are at present no other reviews investigations ongoing at the Countess of Chester Hospital. Now we get to the relevant part, the nurse. As part of the review, staffing was looked at. There was a notable high statistical relationship between a member of the nursing staff and babies deteriorating in the unit. There is no evidence other than coincidence. She had been moved from nights to days and redeployed off the unit whilst the review was taking place for her protection. The nurse has a qualification in specialty, QIS, so was therefore more likely to be caring after the sickest babies on the unit. She regularly worked overtime when the unit was over capacity. She is still working at the Countess of Chester Hospital, but has no direct access to clinical care. Since looked at reintroducing her to the neonatal unit, but felt it was not appropriate. The nurse had been working at the Countess of Chester Hospital for approximately 8 years full-time. She is a Cheshire resident and a single parent. Now, what's that all about? First point, the nurse has been working at the Countess of Chester for approximately 8 years full time. Is that including her time as a student? She is a Cheshire resident and a single parent. Is there something we haven't been told about Lucy Letby? I mean, there's one of two possibilities here, isn't there? Either this is a complete cock-up by the corporate team, or Lucy Letby has said she's a parent. Now, this can't be just a typo because it's written here in two separate places. Let's continue. There has been no formal investigation of misconduct and no motive identified. There are no mental health issues known and nothing has been highlighted by occupational health. There are no management issues. AP to IH. To provide personal details of the nurse and to look at safeguarding referral as single parent. Now, we know that Lucy Letby does tell the odd porky pie, don't we? I don't own a shredder. I was arrested in my pyjamas. I'm isolated from my friends and family on the unit. I was told not to speak to anybody. Yet she was out on the piss with them pretty much every night. I don't know what the sentence "go commando" means. We know that she has told, factually speaking, she's told a few porky pies during her original trial. So is it beyond the realms of possibility that she has told someone here, I'm a single mother, I'm a single parent? I just can't see that being an admin error. Just seems a little bit strange. I mean, there's one of three possibilities, isn't there, actually? Either she does actually have a child that we don't know about. Secondly, it could be a complete balls up by the corporate team. That's possible because they are an utter shambles, let's be honest. Or it could be that Lucy Letby herself has lied and said, I'm a single mother. I mean, I can't see how that's been written there twice, and yet it's just some sort of typo or some kind of admin error. It just seems utterly bizarre. The nurse has been working at the Countess of Chester for approximately 8 years full time. Again, is that including her time as a student? Does that make sense? Is that timeline even correct? She is a Cheshire resident and a single parent. The staff member has since placed a grievance against the Countess of Chester Hospital. So we know that we're definitely looking at Lucy Letby here, but they've got her listed as a single parent. There has been no formal investigation of misconduct and no motive identified. There are no mental health issues known and nothing has been highlighted by occupational health. There are no management issues. And again, AP to IH. To provide personal details of the nurse and to look at safeguarding referral as single parent. We're even looking at a safeguarding referral as she's a single parent. What do you think? Is there some truth to this? Is this another one of Lucy Letby's fantasies? Was she talking about her 2 cats? I don't know. I've got no idea. It's just, I mean, to think that this has actually come out in the Thirlwall inquiry. I'm surprised this hasn't been amended or at least explained. I mean, it's just been put online, isn't it? It's just, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to make of it. I don't know whether, would Lucy Letby lie about this? Would she lie about that and say, I'm a single parent, and then it turned out, no, actually, I'm not? Or is it just some sort of error here by the corporate team? But then if so, why are they looking at a safeguarding referral as a single parent? Let me know some of your thoughts down below. Now, with the use of my crystal ball, I'm fairly sure that many people, or a certain subsection of people, will pick up on this particular document and they'll start saying, oh, well, there you go, you see, suboptimal care, this, that and the other, short staffing. This is the reason the children died. Lucy Letby is a persecuted angel. Yawn, yawn, yawn. So let's go back to Lucy Letby's trial, because she was taken through each individual case where they spoke about staffing levels, nursing acuity, and whether any of these children suffered suboptimal care. Take a listen to the following. I want to move on to the Gang of Four and the conspiracy between these doctors, okay? Okay. On the 18th of May, I asked you this question. Are you suggesting that there is some sort of agreement between any of the medical staff who have given evidence in this case? Some sort of agreement to get you? You replied, in a consultant group, yes, I do believe that. I said, who's in the conspiracy group then? And you replied, which individuals? I said, oh yes. And you replied, I believe Ravi Jairam, Stephen Breary, Dr. B, and John Gibbs. I replied, so the Gang of Four. I'll refer to them in that way rather than repeating their names. I then said, and what is the conspiracy between the Gang of Four? And you replied, they have apportioned blame onto me. I then said, and the motive for apportioning blame onto you is what, please? And you replied, I believe to cover failings at the hospital. Do you remember that exchange? Yes. And you will remember that each time we've moved to a different case, I've asked you the same or substantially the same questions about what you allege to have been the shortcomings. Yes. What I'm going to do now is to go through what you have said in relation to the shortcomings and see whether that matches up to a motive to make these serious allegations against you. All right? Okay. So far as Child A's case was concerned, you raised staffing levels in the context of the delay in inserting a long line to give him dextrose. That was the shortcoming. Yes, nothing else. For Child B, you raised nothing. No. Child C, you raised nothing. For Child D, you said that the fact that her antibiotics were delayed may have had an impact on her. But as for anything else, you raised nothing. For Child E, you said that it was the delay in giving him a blood transfusion, but otherwise you raised nothing. For Child F, you raised nothing. For Child G, initially you suggested that your friend Nurse E may have overfed Child G, but then you retracted that and otherwise raised nothing. For Child H, you said that the location and whether the drains were securely put in may have had an influence, but otherwise you raised nothing. For Child I, Event 1, nothing. Event 2, you suggested that Ashley Hudson should have had her on a monitor because she hadn't been off antibiotics for more than 48 hours. Event 3, you raised nothing. Event 4, you said that potentially Dr. Chang being called away may have had an influence. For Child J, you raised nothing. For Child M, you raised nothing. For Child N, you raised nothing other than to say it was busy and there were issues with intubation. For Child O, you raised nothing, save for the way that concerns raised by Sophie Ellis were dealt with, and you confirmed when we went through the charts there was nothing untoward on the charts. Child P, you raised nothing other than to say potentially an issue with a chest drain. Child Q, you raised nothing. What are you suggesting was the motive for the Gang of Four to make false allegations against you? At this time, I did not know what babies they were discussing, what the allegations were. I felt at the time anything that could have gone wrong, they were potentially putting on me. I didn't have exact details at that point of which babies and why. No, we're talking about the trial. You were telling the jury that these doctors' evidence has been influenced by a conspiracy. Yes, that's what I believe, yes. So given that we now know the details of what you are suggesting were the shortcomings, how do those shortcomings account for their conspiracy? But I'm not saying a specific issue, I'm saying in general I don't think a lot of the babies were cared for on the unit properly. So does it come to this? Because in your view care at the Countess wasn't very good, they have made these allegations against you? Yes, I believe there are shortcomings from the medical team, and that has been put onto me, yes. And the best you can come up with for the shortcomings is what you have detailed and what I have just summarised. No, because I'm not a medical professional to know exactly what should and shouldn't have happened with those babies. Well, so what you're saying, it's above your pay grade to determine in effect what the shortcomings are. Is that what you're saying? Of a medical professional, yes. Well, I'm going to ask you about something then in your defence statement, if that's the position. Can we go to paragraph 11 of the defence statement, please? Just to put this into context, so far as staffing levels are concerned and these children, the two you've actually raised are Dr. Harkness being on his own in effect with child A and having to deal with all the children, and Dr. Chang on the occasion that child I died when she was called away. Is that right? Yes. Your defence statement, though, says this. And this is before you have any medical opinion to support your case, isn't it? The 11th of February 2022. What do you mean by medical opinion? You're not relying on any expert report to make the suggestions that you're making in your defence statement on the 11th of February 2022. No. You see, I've just asked you about what you're saying are the failings, and you said, well, it's really above my pay grade to say that. No, to say specifically from a medical capacity. Yes, exactly. But what we can see you say in paragraph 11 is the following. I don't believe that the staffing levels at the Countess of Chester were at the level they should have been over the relevant period. Yes. We've dealt with all these cases individually, haven't we? Yes. And you, I suggest, have failed to identify specifically, in specific cases, where there is a deficiency in staffing levels. Okay. Well, do you agree with that? No, I think it has been raised at times where the nursing staff acuity wasn't quite right. I've not talked about medical staff here. No, but in each of these babies' cases, I have asked you, has the nursing staff or the medical staff levels contributed to the collapse or death of this child? Yes, that doesn't mean I'm not the overall care that they received. I was referring to the actual collapse. I think some of the babies didn't have adequate care over a period of time. But you see, the point in this case is whether the collapses and deaths of these children is attributable to you sabotaging them, or to some naturally occurring phenomenon which is exacerbated by a deficiency in the level of care, isn't it? Yes. So you are raising these issues as a general complaint in paragraph 11, but you cannot give specifics, can you? No. Paragraph 13. The defence questioned the quality of care, irrespective of the allegations made against me. The defence raised the possibility that suboptimal care has caused or contributed to the deteriorations and deaths in this case. This concern is raised with regard to each and every count on this indictment. It is beyond my ability to analyse and enlarge upon this topic comprehensively or to deal with all possible questions of negligence, but I include this in the defence statement to identify the issue. So you are raising the point, aren't you? Yes. And you have been given by me an opportunity to expand on it, haven't you? Yes. Is there anything else you want to say about it? No.